Okay, so here is our sheep heart. Hopefully you have your sheep heart, you have scissors, you have your blunt probe, a scalpel, and your tweezers, your forceps. So what we're gonna do is you place your heart in its anatomical position as best as possible. I have it reversed, so you should have your apex facing towards your stomach. Again, I have it reversed just because of the camera. So what you're gonna do is first try and find some features. So mine is a pretty fatty heart, so you might have to remove all of the fat and skin before you get started so you actually can see all of the heart. So if you do have a lot of fat, you're going to first remove all of it. You can use your scissors. Always remember to put your scissors away from your body, away from you whenever you cut. Also be careful that you are not removing the auricle off of the heart. If you accidentally do, just note that that's your auricle when you take your pictures of your heart for your heart dissection homework. You can also do this with your scalpel, removing all of the excess fat and the layers. So it should come off pretty easily. If it's really difficult, then you're probably cutting the wrong thing. So as you can see, we have revealed our heart a little bit better. Thankfully, I did not remove the auricles or the superior vena cava or the circulatory vesicles. Vessels, not vesicles. Okay, so this is pretty good right now. So you can see your apex, so this is going to be the bottom portion, the most inferior portion of the heart up here on top. Can you see that? You can see these darker, they can either be red or blue depending upon the staining. So we have right here our superior vena cava, and it should go all the way down, all the way through, and you have your inferior vena cava popping out right here. Some of yours might not be able to move the blunt probe or any type of probing all the way through just because your heart is a little smushed right now. We also have our aortic trunk right here. Remember, your aorta will curve. So this one curves. And now let's see. Right here we have our auricle. We have our right atria, left atria, right ventricle, left ventricle. And again, this might be opposite because of the way I'm recording. So the first thing that we are going to do after identifying the right and left ventricles, so you understand that you're viewing your anterior surface of the heart. Your left ventricle in your case is going to be on your right side. Again, it's opposite for me because I'm facing the apex towards the camera. Okay, now we're going to ID the layers of the heart wall. So both the atria and ventricles are composed of 3 layered walls. The layers of the heart walls from the outside, so we're moving from superficial to deep, are the epicardium, myocardium, and endocardium. So we're going to go ahead and start looking at your different layers. You're going to do this by making a coronal cut. So you're separating it from the front and the back. So make an incision. Remember, always cut away from your body and don't cut your fingers. Now in this case, it might be a little bit difficult. Just remember, when you're moving your scalpel, try and make slight little incisions. You might have to repeat over and over again until your heart actually starts to separate from your front and your back, or your anterior and posterior. At any point, if you're having major difficulties cutting with the scalpel, you might need to change the blade. In the sheep heart dissection kit, you should have an additional blade. If not, I'm going to make a second video on how you can dissect the sheep heart if you're having a very difficult time because you have a very dull blade. However, you shouldn't have a dull blade because it's brand new. Okay, almost done. So as you can see, it takes a while. So we can see we can separate our heart. So on our outside, I'm going to go ahead, open this up a little bit. And right now I'm just helping to break down the muscles. We're going to review the muscles. At this point, you should have already watched the lecture on the heart, so we should just be reviewing all the structures at this point. So on, like that. All right, so our 3 layers of the heart, again, starting from our outer, so our superficial to our deep, we have our epicardium on the outside, so epicardium. We have our myocardium, which looks like the meat. And then everything that's going to be on the inside of the ventricles and the atria is going to be the endocardium. Now on the practical, if I say ID layer, this is when you say your epimyo or endocardium. However, if I were to point in here and say ID cavity, you would say your left atria. Remember, this is always going to be opposite by the way you're cutting. Again, I'm facing the apex towards the camera so you can see it a little bit better. So let's start IDing structures. So you have your left atria, your right atria. Then moving down, we have our right ventricle and our left ventricle. If I open this up a little bit, right here, you can see a slight projection. This is going to be the papillae. This is going to be your papillary muscle. These string-like structures are going to be your chordae tendineae. And then we move down to your ventricles. Now remember, you're going to have different muscles in your atria than in your ventricle. So right here, let's see if I can zoom. So you can open it up a little bit and you can actually see the trabeculae carneae, the heart muscle in the ventricles. As we move up, we can see our, aorta, our aortic trunk coming out. We can see it's cut right now, but this is part of our superior vena cava right here. And it would work its way down all the way coming out from the inferior vena cava. And that's it. I'm also going to add more transcripts and more identifications in a second lecture slide. So I'm going to take pictures of these and help you label all of these. Remember, on your muscle or on your heart homework or heart dissection homework, you're going to have to label all of these, and you're going to have to put a piece of paper with your name on the side of the heart so I know that you're not copying your homework from the internet. Once you're done with your heart, you're going to dispose of it properly. You're going to take off your gloves. Hopefully you've been wearing protective goggles or eyewear this entire time, and I highly suggest washing your clothes after this. That's it.